Very good evening to you all. Myself, Dr. Bobby Basu, Faculty Heritage Business School, take this privilege to welcome you all to this webinar organized by Heritage Business School. Today, we are very happy to have amongst us Shri Siddharth Jhunjhunwala, Chief Executive Officer, Web Spiders Group, who will be sharing his thoughts on the topic, Frontiers of Digital Marketing. Digital marketing, as we all know, refers to an umbrella of activities that are used by the marketers to promote products and services through online activities. It has many advantages over traditional marketing in terms of unlimited reach, instant communication, instant result, real-time result, and it also is very cost-effective as compared to traditional marketing. Today, we are witnessing an unprecedented time with the outbreak of COVID-19, and this has transformed our lives. Businesses are making a sea change, going through a sea change, and they are adapting to the new normal. So digital adaptation has become the most crucial element in today's context. And so it is very important for the companies to have a sound and strong and dynamic presence in terms of search results, email inboxes, and in terms of social media interaction with their customers. Companies can increase their website traffic by search engine optimization, whereby the visibility of the website or the web page of the company to the users of the search engine can be increased by a considerable extent. So if a company's website ranks higher in the search engine result page, that means SERP, definitely it will be viewed by a number of visitors. And if it is viewed by a number of visitors, the probability of converting those visitors into potential customers is also gets improved. DM, that is digital marketing, is definitely not a new concept, but it has gained its momentum or importance in today's context, both when it comes to e-commerce as well as digital advertising. With this backdrop, I would now request our Director, Sir, Dr. J.N. Mukhopadhyay, to introduce our guest, Shri Siddharth Jhunjhunwala, and thereby forward the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Bobby. Good evening and a warm welcome to our keynote speaker for the day, Mr. Siddharth Jhunjhunwala.
Thank you.
I also take this opportunity to welcome all the faculty members from Heritage Group and all our students from the different institutions, including the Heritage Business School. So this is a very, very interesting topic, very relevant topic, I would say. And I had met Mr. Jhunjhunwala when I was in the Birlas, and I found him to be an extremely well-informed speaker. So I thought our students will greatly benefit from this topic. And Mr. Jhunjhunwala, just a brief introduction of Heritage Group, that, we are a very large educational group in Calcutta. We have about 50 acres campus, for a private group that's supposed to be very big. And we have right from the Heritage School, which is up to class 12. We have then engineering college, we have a law college, we have a commerce college, we have economics, we have science, we have we call it Heritage Economics. We've got BBA, BCA, MCA, and of course the Heritage Business School. So it's a very big group, and the trustees are led by, basically it has been founded by industrialists who are actually been devoting this practically so that the education can be of very high quality. And Heritage Business School this year, because of the vision and the leadership, has been able to get two very important awards this year. One from the Economic Times group as one of the best education brands, and from ASSOCHAM also as basically one of the most emerging business schools, one of the best business schools in the Eastern region. Mr. Jhunjhunwala, he's the CEO, as Dr. Bobby said, of Web Spiders Group, and he's been working now for more than 21 years in the software and technology industry. He's currently based out of Singapore, and his strength and his passion is in the area of product development, in the area of chatbots, mobile and digital solutions. He's a very sought after international speaker, and some of his engagements include the FUTR 2019 in London, FUTR 2018 in Singapore, Technology Expo in New York, Millennial in Singapore, the Internet World in UK. Web Spiders production solutions span multiple industries and channels. Their flagship products are Zoho, Jeco, and E2M.live, etc. So just as a prelude, so that it becomes even more interesting, because Mr. Jhunjhunwala, the most of the audience, the most of them, the median age will be say 23 to 25. So they haven't seen the India which was there before liberalization of 1991. So like if you had to travel, if you know everyone in India likes to travel, and if you have to travel, friends, then 20 years back, 25 years back, people would depend, and then let's say they had to go to Sikkim. So they would basically depend on word of mouth, that what kind of a hotel is there. Someone would say, I went there, that hotel is Sikkim hotel is very good. So they'll go, Gangtok hotel is very good, they'll go there. Or basically, look at some advertisements or some travel agent and they do it. And today, how the world has changed, today, every hotel has a website. And through digital marketing, there are independent digital marketeers like TripAdvisor. So you go to TripAdvisor and you actually check out what is the ranking of the hotel, how good the service is. So basically, the hotels are very careful now that in case the customers are not happy, they'll give a very bad ranking in TripAdvisor. So today, when a person goes to, let's say, whether Sikkim or Puri or Nainital or Mauritius or Maldives Island, he basically can find out, sitting in Calcutta, from the TripAdvisor and from the various websites, what the facilities. And he can actually get a virtual tour of the hotel itself to find out how it is. So there's a huge difference. So instead of basically depending on one or two persons now, because of digital marketing, he can get an opinion, very informed opinion about anything. Let's look at another simple example. When, let us say, your parents were buying a refrigerator, or someone bought a refrigerator or television 20 years back. So basically, he would again depend on some advertisements in the newspaper or in the television. And again, word of mouth from one or two people, three people. And they will tell you, the Godrej refrigerator is the best. Or someone will say, no, Kelvinator refrigerator is the best. So he'll form an opinion. He'll walk into a big dealer shop, which has got, say, multi kind of refrigerators. And the salesperson will have a great influence and say, "No, sir, apni Godrej refrigerator ninin, it'll last a long." So, but today what is happening is, because of digital marketing, and Mr. Jhunjhunwala will run us through this, that, the person is so well informed that even before he walks into the store, he can actually come to know which refrigerator to buy, which mobile phone to buy, or which engineering college or MBA college to go. So therefore, while it has become very easy and good for the consumer, now it becomes very important for the refrigerator seller or the supplier or the provider of the education institute to make sure that the website is good, the traffic is very high in the website, and the social media marketing, because youngsters are very much present in the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So they pick up ideas from the Facebook. So what was happening is that previously, if you put an ad in the newspaper, then a lot of it was going waste. Today, suppose there's a young boy who is thinking of joining MBA. So what happens is the MBA institutes can actually find out beforehand only that anyone who is graduating from the Facebook profile to machine learning and from AI, it is possible today to find out that and target the person that, okay, this boy is 23, this boy is 20 years, he's doing his BCom, so most probably he's going to take up an MBA. So therefore, in the Facebook, we can do a very, very targeted ad. That is what makes digital marketing very superior, because there's little wastage. It is very, very cost effective. So it has totally, I think, changed the way people used to do anything, any purchases, any kind of a travel, any kind of education institutes. So I think there's a lot of, it's more than an art. There's now become a science actually. So I think we'll now request our keynote speaker for the day, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, to please come and, demystify some of the beautiful things of digital marketing. Over to Mr. Jhunjhunwala.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the wonderful introduction, and thank you, ma'am, for the starting off the evening. And hello to all the students. You know, it's good to see. I'm assuming most of you are students of marketing or business studies.
Yes.
So today we have about half an hour. That's what we discussed,
Yes.
right?
I think we'll do that. We'll give you, say, let's say for your structured presentation, half an hour. And since there's such an interesting topic, so I'm expecting a lot of questions to come up.
Okay.
And I think that we can discuss. You know, you have in a free way we can discuss the questions. Basically.
Sure.
Question
So let's say
and
till
the
7
questions put up in the chat boxes, friends. So put it up, and we can may not take all the questions, but we'll take up the good questions. Okay, Mr.
Sure.
Siddharth.
So let's say up to 7:45. So it's about 7:11, and
Yeah.
we'll go up to 7:45.
Right.
To round it up. So I'll just share my screen. So what we'll discuss, I mean, what you see on the screen, guys, is actually what 7 key areas of what we offer as a company. So we will not spend too much of time in the sales stuff, but we'll go in how digital marketing from my educational institution point of view can be helpful. Now, just as a quick overview slide, we work with a number of educational institutes. So in Calcutta, we have IIM, we have Birla High, Mukundapur. We also work with JDBI now. And in Singapore, we have NTU, Singapore Poly. And then in US, we have North Central University, and amongst that, many others as well. So we've been around for more than 20 years, Web Spiders. We were actually founded in Calcutta, now Kolkata. And so we have offices across US, Singapore, and London. I moved to Singapore in 2011. I actually came back early last year, then moved to US, but this year I'm expected to mostly be in Calcutta based on the current new normal. So I think, as we start, guys, I think it's important to understand that when you talk about digital marketing or marketing in general, I think it's important to understand the B2b and B2c, because I think the strategies are quite different. So we as a company ourselves, we are doing marketing campaigns for drive leads for our own use, and they're generally B2B because we are selling to businesses. And then for our customers, whether they are brands like Heinz or Khadim or educational institutes, it is B2C, business to consumers. And I think the approaches are quite different. The channels are quite different. We put a small comparison here, but so today I think we'll mostly be focused on B2C because you're trying to sell to a consumer audience, whether it's a student or whether you are a consumer brand. B2B requires a different presentation. So, we could, if that is of interest, we could look at it in a future point of time. But what's common, I think, between both, whether it's B2B or B2C, is actually the fact that you have to drive engagement. There is a common saying, and as was mentioning that, in marketing, there's a very common phrase that 50% of the advertising goes to waste, or 50% of your marketing goes to waste. It's just that you don't know which 50%. So that's always been a problem for marketers. But I think the common goal is engagement. Whether you're B2C, whether you're B2B, you want to know whether you're engaging. And what does engagement mean? I think engagement, based on our experience, literally means time spent with your brand, with positive experiences. Right? So the more time you spend with any brand or with the experiences, of course, in a positive way, that increases your buying power. So from an education institute point of view, if your existing students are going forward and engaging, having a good time, they like your institute, the prospective students are engaging with your brand, you will find that that eventually leads to business and very rapidly leads to business. B2B is the same thing. All we are trying to do is get our prospects, get our existing customers, other contacts within the existing customers to engage with us and spend time with us. And one thing that's really good for your profession right now, so all of you are probably trying to go out after this and get a job and start your career, or you already started your career. In a way, you're probably at the best time, because this pandemic, what it has done is that no longer digital marketing is considered now as something that is optional, actually become the primary channel. One reason is, of course, people are sitting at home, but also the fact that the amount of time you are spending digitally. Young students, you sir mentioned that you all are between 23 to 25 years old. I mean, you probably don't watch as much TV as you watch, say, Prime Video, Netflix, or YouTube, or TikTok for that matter. And that's a moving trend. So digital is no longer sort of an additional line item in your marketing suite. And that's really good and positive for your. So let me start. So these are the areas, we will be, broadly these six core areas we'll discuss. I mean, it's a short time. I mean, these are generally taught over many months and practiced over many years. But let me show you some examples. And what we've done is we've actually taken real screenshots of our campaigns that we've done to give you more perspective on different elements that are valuable. So, of course, social and search, right? I mean, in the social media world, I think for educational institutes and B2C brands, social is really key. And social is key in nurturing, of course. So you have a community that you build, and whether you talk about Facebook or you talk about Instagram, or on the absolute right, you can see a TikTok video. So on the first, you see actually the Facebook page of Birla High School, Mukundapur. You see the Instagram here, and on the right side, you're actually seeing Michigan University's TikTok page, right? So what does social do? Now, if you remember the eventual goal being engagement, right? You're trying to drive engagement. Social media, every time you cannot be looking at selling. So for example, what social does is that you have a group of people. So that group consists of existing students, their parents, teachers, and of course, prospective students, right? And third-party community. Now, the fact that they're spending so much time on social, your ability to engage them leads to the ultimate marketing tool. See, what I would like to tell you is that at the end of the day, the only thing that's bigger than marketing, whether traditional marketing or digital marketing, the only thing that's better than marketing is word of mouth. There's nothing to beat word of mouth, right? So let's say a student who's graduated from your university, when somebody asks them, what do you think? And if they have a positive word for it, then that's 10 times better than any marketing campaign. So social media is, of course, the ground zero, and we'll discuss now one by one. So, of course, Facebook, it's a popular platform. It's probably not that popular for young students anymore, because people in the early 20s or in their teens, they're probably more twisted. But Facebook, again, is very important for the parents, right, and for the general community at large. So the objective of Facebook is different to, say, Instagram and TikTok. But one thing to understand is that Facebook is becoming like email, in the sense that it's ground zero, it's essential, and it motivates the general community around it. And let's say in the K-12 thing, and even to some degree in the university, it's important for influencing parents and keeping them engaged. Instagram, I think, more popular with younger parents, and also very popular with the students themselves. And here the objective changes, and the objective is often things created by the students. So, while Facebook might be your official school's channel, Instagram actually becomes a channel where you want to curate for example, interviews, for example, actual footage, contributions from your students into it. So it becomes a truly social channel where you're curating contribution from your students versus only having your webmaster or your social manager posting it. So Instagram is really popular. Now TikTok is new, and I think recently with all this anti-China thing, it's a bit of in the limelight. But the fact is that TikTok is really popular. In fact, in the US, for example, students are spending as much time on YouTube as they're spending on TikTok. In India as well, especially in the younger in the category, I think TikTok is very popular, and it's an all video platform, right? So it's not meant for images, and I think the fact that it is so new is a good opportunity for institutions to distinguish themselves, to be different, because I think all universities are trying to get a social community engaged on Facebook and Instagram, but not many of them in India and maybe in Calcutta are not many of them are focused on TikTok. So TikTok can be a very important way to encourage people. See, because at the end of the day, it's also about perception. When a student or when a parent is deciding, should I choose my career and my life education from option A to option B, they also want to see an institution which is modern, not just in infrastructure, but in their information architecture, in their marketing architecture. And that influences them to be very, warm up to an institution. So, you can almost invariably see, if you do a benchmarking with some of the globally most popular institutes, whether it is Harvard, whether it is Stanford, you will always see that their IT and their website and their social platforms are absolutely at the cutting edge. So they've always been investing in being cutting edge, right? And I think this is one suggestion, is that as an educational institute, you need to keep moving forward. And I think TikTok is an opportunity right now to separate yourself from the pack. Now, the first two are, so rich content you can see. What it does is that is actually giving you, it's actually giving you a visual form of communication where they are actually giving you information rather than text. They're giving it in a rich content. But on the second part, engagement, you can see that, as I told you, engagement essentially means spending quality time for extended periods with a brand. And contests like these actually drive. So they're small prizes. You can see $80 each, which is about 4,000 rupees. And they're running these contests on their social platform, which are actually engaging their community there, right? And on the absolute right, you see what they have is actually influencers. So they actually pay and hire influencers to talk about a specific topic. So let's say, from a heritage point of view, let's say you have an alumni who's become a celebrity, or who's become a talk show host, or who's become, so they could act as an influencer. Or for example, you have a popular music star, when they are invited, they act as influencers. So I think influencers are a very big part of telling the students and prospective students about the institute or about building the community. And these are actual strategies of education institutes that you see. Search engine optimization, again, really important, especially when you talk about people looking for nearby schools. With the metro cities, with Calcutta, the boundaries of the city are constantly expanding. So it's no longer Kamek Street and Newmarket and Alipur and Baliganj and Park Circus and Tollygunj. It's grown out. So you have Salt Lake, and in Salt Lake you have, of course, so many sectors. New town is added, and then you have more and more sectors. So, for example, what we see now is that parents increasingly are looking for good quality schools around their location, right? So you want to make sure. So this is an example where, searching for Mukundapur schools actually gets, you can see Birla High right up in the first option. So this is an example of SEO. Of course, all these strategies, work together. So it's not that SEO alone works or Instagram alone works, but all of them put together creates a value proposition of driving engagement and trust. I think I think beyond engagement, to be honest, what we are trying to do as marketers is build trust, because nobody knows what is the quality of the service unless they actually go and do the MBA or the degree or the K-12, right? So you will actually have to sign up to honestly experience. So I think all the marketing is really trying to drive trust. And when you see that this organization is so proactive, it's not a fuddy-duddy, old world, old school organization. It just helps in building that trust one step further. So now we talk about advertising. So till now, most of the campaigns we discussed were sort of without any charge to the platform. So you're not really paying Instagram, you were not paying Google, you were not paying any of those. I mean, of course, you are paying internally to produce the content, or you might pay an agency to produce a content, or an agency. But the fact is that there comes a time when you need to spend some money in media buy, and that ensures that you get active sign-up. So when your season comes in to get new enrollments, to sign up new students, at that moment you want to make sure you're right on recall. At the same time, you want to make sure that there's a lot of retargeting. You often see ads. You go to Facebook and you like something, and then you go to YouTube, or you go to a website, or you are playing a game, and you will see that in the game the ads that are coming are relevant to what you've liked on Instagram or liked on Facebook, or you've seen on Google. So retargeting, as well as having targeted ads, demographic targeting, I think what Sir was also mentioning, is really, really important to get the final ROI. So across the year you are building a community, and at the crunch time when you're looking at enrollments, when it's the time to sign up, when you're trying to make sure that students perceive you, or it may not be just an enrollment, it might be a specific event that you're running, for example. It might be an event that you want the public to sign up or the students to sign up. So advertising, and as compared to advertising on, say, Telegraph or Economic Times, it is definitely far more economical. And not only economical, it's actually much more effective. We are seeing that, spending 50,000 rupees on an ad on Telegraph and Economic Times, for 10,000 rupees, we can get 10x more ROI through a digital ad campaign. And we've seen that. We also run a co-working space, and initially we were advertising on Economic Times. It was costing us like 30,000 rupees per day. And then we started advertising on Facebook, we were getting over 50 leads a day at a fraction of the cost, for something like 3,000 rupees a day. So there's definitely an ROI as well. Now, coming to email marketing, I think people probably don't think that email marketing is as important as social, but let me tell you that email is something that gets people in. And just to give you an example, I'll switch my, there's a site called Worldometer. Can you see my screen, this Worldometer info? Anybody can confirm if they're seeing this tab called Worldometer right now? I'm showing.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
We can.
So you can see right now that there are about 4 billion internet users in the world, right? You can see that about 5 million, which is about 50 lakh blog posts were written today. 633 million, which is about 63 crores tweets were sent today. Google searches, how many Google searches happened today? So you're looking at 5 billion, right? And these are actual third-party figures. Just see the number of emails sent. Just see, it's 213 billion. And if you add all forms of communication together, they don't add up even close to the number of emails that are sent. So if you see the habit of even students or parents, they may be on TikTok, on Snapchat, on Instagram, or they may be on a virtual, AR, VR platform. They may be playing PUBG. Doesn't matter where they are. You will find that they have a home. and that home is called email. You go to a person in grade 8, in class 7, in class 9, you go to whoever, you go to a professional, they will have an email which is official, but they will have their private email. So we have to understand that no matter what campaign we do, email is still the home for all the digital residents. And I showed you the stat. So I think email marketing is really key as a component of your overall digital marketing strategy in driving action from your customer base or your target demographic. Now I'll come to something on support. Now you will probably think, no, so this is was something we did for North Central University. Now you will think that what are we talking about support? This is about marketing. But the fact is that nobody says that not a single customer in the world will tell you that, oh, what a great sales team this company has. I really enjoyed being sold into. Nobody likes being sold into. If any salesman calls you, if any salesman, and when I say salesman, they may have different titles. In a university, they may have different titles. But at the end of the day, there are certain people who want to sell you something. Nobody likes to be sold to. So what do they like? They like good service. When you get good service, you automatically get sold to. And that's how you build honest community. That's how you build trust on a long-term basis. As they say, Rome was not built in a day. Institutions are not built in a day. No matter who you are, you will have competition. And if you don't have competition today, competition will come tomorrow. I mean, history is a big trainer and coach. You will see in Calcutta, for example, at least when we grew up, the number of institutions were limited, right? Even then there was competition. Today, the competition is fierce. There is online competition, there is competition within the city, there is competition within the country. It does not take a lot with a lot of loans and with a lot of bank finance available. It does not take a lot today for a student with the average means to go to another city. And in fact, as the world is moving to a new normal, with the digital coming in, it can again change your entire life. You might have someone like Stanford or Harvard or someone in Singapore or someone in London, or wherever, offering a course, doing a better job virtually, and then saying that you need to travel for 2 months a year and you'll have an official proper degree from this particular university. So the competition is not only within Calcutta or Kolkata, it is now across the country. And with digital now, it's global. And trust me, it does not take a lot. You can see the number of students who travel and the number of students who've come back because of the current pandemic to understand the fact. So automating customer service or student service is really important. If your staff is really, if your fees collection staff are really proactive, that's nice. But if, for example, if a student has a problem with his mark sheet or with a transfer certificate or with a admin query and nobody gets back in 10 days, that's not good. If somebody has to walk and line up outside a university to get an admission form and in the heat, in the rain, and if you think that if 1,000 parents have to line up outside university and that's a good thing, it may be a good thing today. It may not be a good thing tomorrow when somebody else eats your lunch. Okay. So going digital is marketing is not just about selling, right? It's also about servicing. If you service them well today, they will come back tomorrow. They will not leave you, right? So please remember that, and we've seen that. Now, of course, you might say that, well, we have thousands of students. How is it possible to answer each of the questions? That's where AI comes in. That's where you can let AI automate some of the responses. And what you see on my screen are some of the responses, for example, right? People have 10 kinds of questions. And if you see any university, for example, if you really want to compete at a global level, you need to get students coming in from outside the country who are aspiring to get into your university and compete with the local. And that's what happens in any global university or school or college. You have students who are aspiring to come to your place from global overseas. And the moment that happens, that's a trigger for expansion. That means that you are doing really well. And that means that you have to set up more campuses. That means that you have to be in more cities. So, don't just think local. The fact is we are doing this session digital. If we keep our mentality local, we will not be able to really, not only take advantages of the opportunity, but somebody else will come and eat your lunch. I mean, Heritage came and took away the business of a lot of other universities, right? Who were there before, and that trend. So we have to always remember of the Kodak example, right, as a use case, and keep making sure. Another use of AI is often people, may go to your website for servicing, but often they will email you, right? They will email you and they will ask for things. As I said, email is ground zero. Email is the home. If digital is your universe, email is the home. So email is here to stay. The numbers are there. Even a 8-year-old child or a student, he may have a TikTok account, but he has an email account. So let's remember that. And again, by using AI to automate the responses on email. So this is an example what we are doing, not just responding for services, but even following up for admissions. So, let's say you get 100 emails on what is the process to get into the law school, for example, or for example, the medical school, if you run a medical school, and we all know that that's up for grabs, right? And, so many of the other things that you have. Sometimes just a proper response, sometimes just a proper follow-up that, hey, you were questioning about this course, here are the things, can I help you? How do I help you? What else do you need? Or making sure that 100% of all the responses were made on time. That's the difference between having a exemplary year and having a substandard year. And today, with the competition, as I said, growing up, you have to use automation not only for supporting your inbound questions, but also for following from a enrollment and admissions process, and making sure all of their processes are done. So these are just sample emails, and actually real copies of how things happen. Now, to the last part, we have 4 minutes left. Is a concept called virtual events. Now, you have parent-teachers meeting, you have open houses, you have one-to-one meetings. Now, of course, traditionally you've always called them, and I think when things go back to normal, it's advisable that you could call them. But let's say you want a fair when you have a recruiting meeting, like a recruiting house, when you want potential employers to come and recruit. So it's no longer possible to only do it physical face-to-face. One is, it is an enormous investment for a lot of people. And many of the times it's not very productive from a travel perspective, from a cost perspective, and also it's not very inclusive, because if 1,000 people could come in, you will find that 60-70% of the people are only turning up. And sometimes even when the people turn up, both the parents cannot turn up. Either the mother has to go to work, or the father has to go to work, or both have to go to work, and there is always a gap. So if you include the whole concept of virtual events, which is a larger form of video conference, what it means is that you are ready to give 100% coverage, right? And that includes whether you're trying to do admissions, whether you're trying to do recruitment events, whether you're trying to do parent-teacher meets, and it could be hybrid. So, for example, let's say this time next year, everything is good, we have a normal life back, but still, if you're doing hybrid events where you tell people that, okay, if you're here, that's great, but we're also going to have virtual events, it just changes the whole perception. People will talk about, oh my God, look at that university. That university did something really fantastic. And that word of mouth will be far bigger than any campaigns and any advertising that you do. It will force you to open more campuses. It will force you to fill up your seats. It will force you to expand. And in fact, what you will see is that global students are willing to do distance learning and say that we've heard of HBS, we want to be a remote student, we want to be learning remotely. And just the way Indian students do at the moment for Western institutes, you will find that people from across the world doing it for HBS and other institutes in India. So, well, I think we are almost there. It's 7:44. Again, just some of the clients, you can see some of the names. Other than the educational institutes, we work with brands, big brands like Heinz. We work with Mitsubishi Motors, and the rest, all sales stuff. I'll skip that. So with that, I think we are right on time. I want to thank you for your time and hope it was quick. And now I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Mr. Jhunjhunwala, first is I want to say that you have been amazing, because most people start in time, but they don't finish in time. You said 7:45 and you finished in time. That's very, very German, I must say.
Thank you.
You're a global company and you're doing so well. So I think, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, I fully agree with you that it is the word of mouth. Anything which can be ahead of the digital marketing is the word of mouth, basically. Nothing can be ahead of word of mouth. And you have to use Facebook, Instagram, the email marketing, everything very intelligently, so that the word of mouth goes in a very big way. That data from the worldometer was really good. That email is so dominant. I totally agree with you. The other thing I want to tell students that, I always talk about the marketing finance interface. And one thing that is very clear from his presentation is that he spoke of the word called ROI. So students always remember that for whatever you do, whatever marketing action you do, is the return on investment. That's the question that the top management is always going to ask. No one has unlimited money to go on. I know advertisement is costly, whether in print or television, or now even digital is becoming expensive. So we have to be very, very careful to see that we can justify our ads, which I'm sure is more possible. The other dimension that Mr. Jhunjhunwala said is not only the sales part, the service part. That's a great thing, that even after you get a customer, if you're able to service him well through digital marketing, then he's going to tell, 5 people more about it, and the 5 will become 25, so that way the word of mouth will spread. So there's nothing like, because we can only service that many people face to face, and this chatbot or AI bots which are there, these are a great thing, because, the problem is when you're having a human interaction, if I ask a question, sometimes I feel whether it's stupid or not. He might get irritated if I ask him the second time. But with the AI bot, I can ask the question again and again, and I can get clear. So in the education sector also, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, we are going to see a lot of human robots coming, which we thought incomprehensible. But actually, it makes a lot of sense. The initial education through a human this thing, because the weaker students can go on asking the same question till it is cleared, and then we can get a very good teacher to come and actually take it on from there, right? So I think we have some really good questions, and I think Mr. Parthasharthi Bhawal, he actually is an employee of the Heritage Group. He looks after the relations and advertising. So Mr. Parthasharthi, would you like to ask a question? We can ask directly. Mr. Parthasharthi.
Actually, sir, I wanted to ask that in a Facebook page, when you boost a certain post, do you ensure geofencing strategy of digital marketing?
Yeah, so if you have a limited budget, and if your focus is, for example, you want to only address that, so it is recommended for productivity that you geofence it, because you want more number of impressions. Because if you make it global or across India, then you are spreading thin. You're always spreading thin. So if you are, for example, a local baker, and you know that my customers are only in Calcutta, or if you feel that my customers are only in, say, Kakurgachi, then, or if you only want to target them, then it's always a good idea that when you are spending money to restrict for better productivity.
My another question is, sir, what are the other tools?
Almost all the advertising platforms, Instagram, for example, offers very good geofencing.
Yes.
Same time, Google offers geofencing. So almost all advertising platforms, when you put some money to advertise, it asks you about the kind of people you want to connect to, but at the same time, it will always give you a geofence option.
Okay, sir.
And yeah, almost all of them do offer that. Yeah, that's a good
Okay,
question.
sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So this is Ayush Gupta from MBA first year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Hello,
Right.
Ayush.
Yeah, hi sir. So I just wanted to know, like, a software named Zoho Desk. So do you also function, like, do you also apply that in your as a customer software that helps you to like suppose if you have a chat box and that helps you through Zoho Desk, it helps you to ease in your work through
Right.
customer support. So how
Right.
does that work? Right.
Yeah, so that's a good tool. So there are many. So essentially, Zoho Desk and you have Fresh Desk and you have Zendesk. So there are multiple tools. All of them are good. Zoho is actually one of the proud success stories of India as a product. And we use multiple products of, not all, we use a few products of Zoho. So Zoho Desk essentially helps you file every incident or every request as a ticket number. So, and then it can be allocated based on, the source and escalation. So, for example, if somebody has raised a query, you might have a SLA that you must respond within 1 hour or 8 hours, and you must resolve it in 2 days, for example, as an example. So it's very hard to manually map it. So let's say if sir wants to track whether we are meeting all the SLAs of all the student requests, in which case, if you log it into a tool like Zoho Desk, you can easily track how well you're addressing each question or incident that was raised.
So for every ticket, does it give you a response time for that? So like suppose if you raise
So it is up to the organization. So you can either say that, like for example, if you file a ticket with CSC, right, or with Vodafone, you often get a number saying that we've filed your request and we will get back to you in so many hours. So each organization has its policy, right? Uh, and you are welcome to customize the customer experience accordingly.
Okay, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, Senior Jhunjhunwala, we wanted to
thank you.
hear from you. I mean, you must be feeling very proud
Yeah,
that
yeah, I've muted myself.
he's a global person now. So please tell us about how did you make him so disciplined, and please share that secrets with our students.
Well, first of all, this mobile I've connected to Google Meet, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs
It's your
to
grandson. Grandson.
my grandson. My grandson, yes.
Yeah.
So just by chance, you say I got connected through this phone because the other phones went out of power.
Okay.
So this organization we basically started in 1995. So it is nearly 25 years. Previously, we were into hardware business, and after 5 years, we got into the software business. And now, because everything is going online, and now business is also being conducted with more or less through online means. So I think this communication through media, internet media, will increase day by day.
Right.
Now this lockdown is going to teach us a lot as to how sitting at home or how sitting very far we can communicate with each other. Just think of a time when people used to go to universities, as Siddharth was also saying. So we generally have a concept that okay, professors and other faculties will be there in the classroom. They'll be delivering their lectures, and we shall be listening to them. And so we have generally an old mindset that education can be imparted only by physically getting present in the classroom. Now, this is also basically a classroom. So only by digital means, you see, we are saving a lot of time on travel, saving a lot of time on commuting. Yeah.
So one thing, sir, I
So,
want to add that my father is actually like he's my co-founder, and he inspired me to learn IT at a very young age. And even now, the finance portfolio and our whole campus, we have a 60,000 square feet campus that we built in Newtown. So he built it on his own without any experience in the construction industry. So it is not just, it is like working together and also enabled all the learning initially.
You were told in the last webinar about this the seminar about the Google Maps. Can you please enlighten our students on how does Google Map actually, what technology they use and how it works?
So yeah, so what we were discussing last time on Google Maps was that, as you and all of us know, that Google Maps probably know about our streets much better than the residents, right? And it can almost in any lane of not only Calcutta, any village in India, you go and it will tell you that go here, go there. But the fact is that not a single employee or official or contractor of Google Maps has ever been to these areas. They don't go there. So how does Google learn? How does Google know more than the municipal corporation of the city or the village? And essentially, it is entirely driven by AI. That is 100%. Of course, geomapping is there, but it would never be AI and data processing. So what it does is that whenever you are traveling with Google Maps, it is also revalidating all the routes. Initially, it is using the standard maps that you get from the geological survey and the satellite images. And then it is actually tracking the people who are having the phone and your vehicle movement. And whenever you are trying to request that I want to go from place A to place B, it is understanding that that is the route. And when you have enough people who show the same trend, it then increases the probability score. So when you say that I want to go from Fleury's Park Street to Heritage Business School, it gives you a route, and you and me know that there are multiple ways to reach. So how does Google know that this is the right way to do that? And that is based on the fact that it is entirely probability and statistics computed in a large scale. So coming back to advice for the students, that if you are students of statistics and mathematics, then one of the biggest opportunities for you today is getting into data science and getting into these probabilistic models of how to determine, because this is not an absolute answer. When Google Maps says that this is how you should go from point A to point B, it is not saying with 100% certainty. It is saying that this is the most probable way. So it is entirely a classic use case of data modeling and statistics.
So that was very interesting, and I thought I will also share another important information with my students, that I will Google today has a market capitalization of $1 trillion. That is about 1,000 billion. And just to put the number in perspective, there's something in USA called the FANG companies. The FANG is supposed to be this companies, which is F is for Facebook, A is for Amazon, other is Google's parent called Alphabet, N is for Net, right? And if we add Microsoft, so like what will happen is it's about $5 trillion. In Bombay Stock Exchange, we have got 5,000 companies, and they add up to only $2 trillion. Whereas this 5-6 companies are more than double. So, friends, there's a lot of scope for you, youngsters like you. You should not only try to use Google and Facebook, you should also try to become, like Mr. Siddharth has done something as web spiders. Don't only look for chakri, as they say in Bengali, don't look for chakri. It's always my dream as a teacher that you can actually start some enterprise on your own. At least try to become a Google or a mini Facebook, and many of this actually start in the university. So now, having said that, we have an interesting question from Meheli Sarkar. She's asked a very simple but very important question, Mr. Jhunjhunwala. Said what she's asking is, how can digital marketing be effectively used for business schools, by business schools? Can you elaborate on that, please? You already said, but can you elaborate on that?
It's important to understand the objective. When you say digital marketing, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get more students, or you're already full, but you're trying to uh, expand the reach or the brand and the community? So based on that,
No, let us say,
yeah,
Sid, that we are trying to get in more quality students. Let's say that as a case study. The
right.
business wants to get more quality good students. Then,
So if you're trying to get more quality, so when you say quality good students,
right.
they will also demand quality good places to study. It goes both ways, right?
Yes.
In which case, for example, what is common between the so-called quality goods? Because quality good students want to go to quality good schools. There's a
Yes.
direct
Yes.
correlation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, what is the definition of a quality good school? One is the impression and the brand. Well, that will automatically happen. But otherwise, what's in your control? The thought leadership is very important here. So as an example, what you're doing today is an example of sharing thoughts. So the more thought leadership that you release, like as an example, Harvard, for example, has a budget where they do long, surveys. Like they will do a survey of 50 years, 90 years, and one generation takes the survey and carries forward to the next survey. So as an example, they want to track what is the effect of the people's earning on fitness, for example, and they will track a group of 24 people and they will pay them when they were 15 years old to when they were 70 years old, and they will release the findings in interim. Now that's a long-term commitment, but what happens is that when they release such thought paper, people say that Harvard is doing a 50-year research and they have come out with this. So thought leadership, the channels of producing these things I've already discussed in detail in my presentation, and I've also sent a copy of the presentation. But the fact is that such thought leadership and research and then sharing of that research is what gives people the ability to understand you as a quality institute. The second is, of course, the ease of doing business or learning from you. So today, for example, I think one thing is very certain, almost I can underwrite it and write it on a stamp paper for you, that if you are not having a distance learning program, if you do not allow hybrid learning models for existing students or potential students, then you are not in tune right now with the biggest universities. I mean, this emergency has forced a lot of people to be on Zoom and Google Meet, etc. But these are not platforms where you can have a sustained distance learning program, right? So you need to make sure that things like virtual events and virtual training and teaching becomes part of your curriculum. And research and giving people a holistic life. Like as an example, the three triangle. Triangles of growth. So for example, if you try and apply to any so-called Ivy League institute, they look at three things today. One is, of course, your academics, right? But if you even have a 99.99% in academics, you're not going to go in. The second, they look at what are you doing for extracurricular. So as an example, a person who was in the Olympics team for the country was rejected by Stanford 2 years ago. So you are really setting the bar high. You are telling people that you cannot just be a bookworm. You need to have passion in music, or you need to have a passion in sports, or any other such activity which rounds up your life to make you something beyond. And the final third thing is, what are you giving back? You are consuming from the day you were born. Your parents fed you, they gave you money, you went to school, etc., etc., etc. And even today, when you're 20 years, 24 years old, you are still consuming at a rapid pace. What have you released back to the society? And that's really tracked with a lot of metrics. If you suddenly start, so they will track, for example, how many volunteer hours did you spend? If you're giving money, then what was the effect of giving that money? It's not just that if you are from a popular background, you just signed a check. That's not enough. What was the effect of that donation? Did you spend time or did you just give money? how many hours were you giving your time, and what were the results of that time? So if you I'm talking, as I said, the specifics I've already explained in my PPT, but this triangle of academics, extracurricular, and giving back, I think when you start incorporating this into your lifestyle, people get emotionally connected. See, there is no, other than word of mouth, there is no better connect to a brand than emotional connect.
No, but Sid, I will give you one example. That suppose
Yeah,
right now, if all of us go and start typing
yeah,
best engineering colleges in Kolkata or best MBA colleges in Kolkata, you'll be
right,
find that though maybe I am Calcutta is figuring, but there are
right,
many other colleges which everyone knows is not in the top 20, but
right.
they are in the top 20. So this is a big problem with digital that like
Hmm.
it's vetted. Maybe they just bring the name forward. And so someone who is sitting in Patna or Guwahati who may not have much idea about Calcutta
Hmm.
might be very wrongly advised about the
Right.
best or the best engineering colleges in Kolkata.
Yeah, no, that can be a problem. Partly the problem is because the actual top 20 are not producing enough content. See, as an organization, if you are not producing enough content, then other people will squat on that top 20 thing.
Mhm.
So as an example, if you have a blog, and so for example, COVID-19, I'm just giving a case study.
Mhm.
Let's say if you had a campaign of supporting people, the less fortunate, who were affected by who are massive, let's say the migrant worker issue, and your students took some decisive actions and contributed to the migrant worker, and then you contributed that, right? So what happens is that suddenly you are being you are being called upon in Quora, you are being mentioned in the activities, and then when people say top colleges, you automatically come in. So the fact that you are not doing enough or at all is giving the opportunity for unnamed colleges to squat on your place, because it's open for occupation. It's like an empty flat. If you don't occupy, somebody else will occupy.
No, but it also could be that though the others are not doing enough good work, they're just putting up a lot of Google ads and they're paying, they are spending a lot of money in these ads actually, pay per click or whatever. So, like because
Yeah,
of,
yeah. So that is an important part. You need to have a media budget that you spend as well, and this is something that you have to track very professionally, where you are tracking whether for your keywords where are you appearing, and I think any organization today cannot rely on free digital marketing tools. So one misconception is that digital is cheap and digital is free. And I think if you're still in that misconception, you will, don't think that you will spend few lakhs a year and suddenly you will be on top of Google and top of everything. You have to spend money just the way you would have spent money on a television or on a newspaper or a magazine or hoarding. Uh, and the fact, you just mentioned about Google 1 trillion market cap. Their revenue is about 160 billion, which means they're getting almost 7-8 times their revenue as market cap. But out of that revenue, 80% is advertising revenue.
yes, of course,
So some people are paying them. Somebody has to pay for them to get the revenue, right?
of course, of
And
course.
so, which means that if we still don't understand that if we don't pay, then other people will eat our lunch.
Right.
So you can see, we work with so many of these institutes. They have a significant budget. 30 to 40% of their spend budget is being spent on paid media. They are spending money on paid media. They're not just saying, just open a Facebook page or free advertise and you will get there. No, you will not get there. Even if you are the best college in the world, you will not get there.
Right. Acha, there's a question from Sumaya Ayub, our second year student. Sumaya, can you quickly ask the question?
So this is Sumaya Ayub, MBA second year student from Heritage Business School. So my question to you is, what shall be the role of a salesperson in this digital marketing era?
That's a very good question, because when I was telling that, initially 20 years back, I think the salesperson would have a great influence on which brand of refrigerator or TV will buy. So I think that's a very good question. Mr. Sid, please respond to that.
So, I think the value of the salesperson is really become crucial now, especially when you talk about, see, when you talk about retail products, which are relatively low cost, I think the people are moving towards self-service, right? So smaller items, people, you don't want to speak to somebody to buy small items. But when you are looking at spending lakhs of rupees to get education, or trying to buy a car, or you're trying to buy a house, or you're trying to buy machinery, you are looking at talking to people. And I think while marketing is responsible for generating the lead, salespeople need to be a consultant. They need to be a teacher to complement that. If you are just trying to sell without the knowledge, then people are not going to buy from you, so, and they will go elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
So I'll just give you a small. I remember this every time. When Web Spiders was formed in 2000, but I started a company. We started a company called Leo in 1995. I remember, so we used to sell hardware, and I remember this salesman came to meet me one day, and I clearly remember that day. And that was the time Windows 95 came. And if you remember, when Windows 95 came, actually you may not remember, but there was some additional keys that came on the keyboard. Like 4 additional keys came on the keyboard. So he came and said, "This new keyboard has come, will you buy?" And I said, "Yeah, tell me what is there." And he said, "Look, these 4 additional keys are there." I said, "Very good. What do these keys do?" He said, "Sir, wo to malum nahi, lekin 4 additional keys hai." So a small experience. Then I said, "Well, then please go away." So you need to be a teacher. A salesperson needs to inspire trust, and you need to be a person who can finally close the gap, because marketing cannot close the deal, right? Marketing cannot
Right.
close the deal. You are the person that will close the deal, and especially for expensive to high-end B2B purchases. So I think your role is even more refined, because you need to close the deal. You need to be a person they trust, and you need to be a person with absolute product knowledge to be able to do that.
So that's
And
so well said, sir.
Ankit
Thank you so
Vaidya
much,
is
sir.
Ankit Vaidya is asking, what is the best way to drive digital traffic to the targeted site?
So the easier way is to advertise. Of course, it will cost you money, and it can cost you anywhere from 1 or 2 rupees a click to hundreds of rupees per click. In fact, keywords like car loans, for example, they are going at $80 per click. So you're looking at something like spending 5,000 rupees. Somebody clicks, you have to pay 5,000 rupees. The most expensive keyword in the world is $1,000. So you can Google Trends. If you go to Google Trends, they tell you. So the immediate way to get traffic is, of course, by advertising. SEO is a marathon, so you have to invest 6 months. And of course, the ultimate way, as I said, is going viral. So if you do something nice, people will have word of mouth. That is the ultimate sales tool. You do something that everybody is talking about, they'll come to your website. You do something emotionally relevant, like whether it's donation or whether it's community service, people will talk about it. But yeah, so you have 3 choices: word of mouth, SEO, and advertising.
Can you just elaborate on that car loan thing? I didn't get it fully. That car loan example, what is the example again?
So for example, the term car loans on Google is a very high traffic keyword, because all the car dealerships and the car manufacturers and the people who want to give car loans, all the banks, they bid for that. So they want to, so ICICI wants, so this is more for US, the price is US, but in India also is very high, because ICICI and HDFC and all the banks want to get a piece of that action. So if you're doing a pay-per-click ad for the term car loans, just if somebody clicks once, then the rate for that is typically 5,000 to 6,000 per click.
Okay, that's very high. Okay.
Very high. Yeah. So I'm just giving you that high traffic keywords cost a lot more.
Yeah.
And typically it would cost you about couple of hundred rupees per click. So for example, if I type MBA Institute in Calcutta, in fact, let me do it in now. I can tell you, say MBA institute in Kolkata, if I do it right now, I am getting LPU. So can I share my screen and show you? Or
Of course, please show, please show.
if you see, I typed MBA institute in Kolkata, and you will see that there are like more than 3 crore results.
Yeah.
And you see this lpu.in. The ad means they have paid for this.
Yes.
Then you're getting this person, they paid. Now Bibs, I also speak for them. So they're having a strategy where they're saying admission is going on and they're trying to advertise a package. Then this is going distance. So you see ISWBM is coming there, Bengal Institute, and then these are so now this is a general directory, Shiksha. So you should be in Shiksha, for example, and then all this is coming. So if you see, if you wanted to be on top, there is no choice but to pay.
Right.
However, Quora also gets very good. So if you are contributing to Quora, so you need a specialist team that is working on your SEO and your PPC strategy. It's not something that you can do as a side thing. Right now, if you see, Heritage is not there at all, whether it is paid or unpaid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but the fact of the matter is that Heritage is a 50-acre campus, very green and free, backed by some 22 leading industries.
Yeah.
And a very nice campus, a very good placement. So I think have to have a digital marketing strategy, I think, in place. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because the word of mouth may take some time, so that's why we have to quick. Yes. I agree with you. This was very nice. I think for students also, just see how thorough Mr. Sid is. That as soon as he said, he immediately got back to a page. So this is something we have to really learn, from Mr. Sid, that how fast he's into. Ankit, can you quickly ask your question? If you are there, very quickly, if Ankit, you can ask your question. Audio, video on and ask it, Ankit. Oh, Acha, that was Ankit's question. Diproshi Mondol. You have a good question. So Diproshi, can you come online quickly and ask?
Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, Diproshi.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Sir, I am Diproshi Mondal from First Year Heritage Business School. My question is, sir, how the concept of online public relations work? Is it really effective, sir?
See, first, when you talk about public relation, how do you define what is a PR? What is PR by definition? I think, would you like to elaborate on what you consider as PR or what do you consider as public relation?
So, for me, it would be like a PR works with the digital platform of a company where he or she does their best or the team does their best to expand their reach.
So PR, okay. So my understanding of PR, and please correct me if I'm not thorough on that. Generally, PR means that a third-party media site is publishing and covering your product or your company, right? So when Telegraph will do a piece on T2 or otherwise, or when a news channel will interview you, otherwise, that is what PR means, if I'm not wrong. And when you talk about online PR means, what about the online channel? So now, since almost all media houses, no matter whether they are print, TV, or online, they have a media outlet. Like they have an online outlet which is much more powerful. Like for example, in this, while there was lockdown, I'm so used to reading my newspaper every morning that I was actually reading the e-newspaper of Telegraph. So I go to epaper.telegraphindia.com and I read it. So I think the world of online and offline has honestly merged. So if you're doing PR, you are bound to get the positive effect online, which will help in your SEO and help in your reach. So I think that pretty much, I think most people agree that the boundaries of offline and online PR are collapsed, with the difference that if you're looking at pure online stars, so you see in TikTok, there are certain artists whom people will not know, but they have 10 million followers. So they are pure online PR. And they are getting paid by these brands to produce, to popularize this B2C product. So if it's a girl, then they're probably advertising beauty products. If it's a guy who's well built, then the gym is advertising, and so on and so forth. And I'm shocked to see that, people whose names are not even known outside that circle, they have 10 million, or 10 million even in India is 1 crore followers, is a lot. So that way, there's a lot of paid influencers. So I think, other than natural PR, this hiring of influencers, as I showed in one of my slides, is a very important strategy.
Yeah, influencers.
Yeah. So that is part of online PR.
Right. And Rohit Paul is asking us that, sir, can you please elaborate on how to use customer CRM, customer relationship marketing, for increasing the brand equity and sales?
See, CRM software, whether it is Salesforce or Zoho CRM or any of the others, on its own, it is an enabling tool. It is a database, essentially, right? Which helps you keep your data in an organized manner, which allows then you to do your marketing campaigns on top of it. So CRM is an enabling tool. It is like, in a way, it is electricity for your campaigns, because it holds all the engagement data about a particular consumer, and then helps you in retarget and promoting. But on its own, it is one of the important vehicles in the whole digital marketing effort. If you don't have it, and if you're managing all your data on email and Excel, then you will not succeed, because you will not be able to have a sustained relationship program with your clients. Yeah. So, yeah.
I have one student of Rashmi Kumari. I think she's taken major HR in the second year. She's asking, sir, how can the students effectively use new social media platforms like Twitter, YouTube, etc., for better career management?
So, yeah, it's a good question. And, as an employer, often we don't look at, most employers, ideally, they should not look at who you are. They should look at who you can be, right? That is the usual focus. So if you are a voice where you are a thought leader again, so for example, if you are an accountant, or if you are a programmer, or if you are a designer, or if you are a salesperson, or if you are a manager, or whatever your profession is, if you are a teacher, if you are a principal, no matter who you are, I think social media is a great way to be a thought leader in your profession. So what happens is that whenever you are trying to get either a customer or get employment, whatever you're trying to get, they often look you up. They look you up online, and they try to see, okay, this person is saying that he is a chartered accountant. Let me see what he's doing. And suddenly, if you find that, oh, this person has given a lot of talks, this person has published this paper, this person is constantly talking about these new ways of doing it, then you will have a much better chance of success than somebody who has no digital footprint. See, I think going forward, whether you're trying to get a customer, or whether you're trying to get employment, or whether you are trying to, I don't know, get a date, whatever you're trying to get, if you have no digital footprint, you are a dangerous person. Very few, if you have no LinkedIn, then very few employers will be very scared. So it's important to have a digital footprint, and it's important to make sure that you are emitting the right message on those digital footprints.
Right. Agreed. Asha, last question, because we are almost 90.
Yeah, we are just 4 minutes actually.
Is from Amrita Nayak. She says that, sir, we understand the importance of social media marketing, but how can a company really measure the success of its social media marketing?
Right, good. So if you are a B2B company, and B2B means, of course, business selling to businesses, you can measure by number of leads that have come to your system, or you can also measure in terms of the actual engagement. So for example, if you are a consumer, like when we work with these brands, consumer brands, they have a target of, I need so many shares, I need so many views, and ultimately they want to do a survey and find whether the brand reach has increased. So these are the metrics, the shares, the how much content you are sharing, the likes, the number of leads that you are getting, and then finally, when you do mass survey, then you get a sense of what is whether the brand has increased. And finally, you can also use Google Trends to see how many people are searching. See, Google Trends is a great tool to see that what is being searched, what are people searching. So if you find that your brand is being searched, that means your progress is going. And at the end of the day, of course, it is sales. So when you see that you've had a sustained effort of 6 months, and then you compare the sales of the last year 6 months with this 6 months, and you have to finally then compare that, are you growing in sales or not? So multiple metrics depending on the type and stage of your organization.
Acha, the last question from me, Mr. Sid. Please advise our students on what they should be doing in Facebook, and what are the precautions they should be taking in Facebook, and if they're doing banking, because we all use ATMs and net banking. So if there are any precautions you'd like to advise the students, please be free to tell them how exactly they should manage their career through Facebook, LinkedIn, particularly Facebook. I'm saying LinkedIn we understand. So Facebook, and what precautions a girl in particular should take in Facebook, and for net banking or for using an app, banking app.
Sure. So I will tell you what you should not be doing rather than what you should be doing. So of course, for financial transactions, the banks are very proactive in India, and I think India has largely a very good security system when it comes to credit cards and bank accounts with the PIN. So please do not share your PIN. Everybody knows that. Do not share your PIN. Even if you get a call saying that I'm a bank employee, at no point should you be sharing your PIN. So that's the number one thing. Try to bank with known banks. You are seeing some of the. So if you're banking with the regular banks, sort of the top 5 banks, you're generally okay, like the likes of HDFC, ICICI, SBI. These kind of banks. But I think I'll also address this question in one way, is that now if you are 25 years old or 23 years old or around that age, many of you might be looking for employment now, or you might be looking for customers. Either ways, what has happened is in your teens, in your late teens, you have typically tried to project a certain kind of image on social media for social winnings. Like you want to be, whether you are a guy or a girl, you're trying to attract somebody, and you have tried to show a certain side of you. No, there's no harm in that. I mean, that's your life. You take care of it. But what happens is that you need to be aware that your prospective employer or customer is going to see that. So many of you are unaware. So, for example, if you swear a lot, if you write a lot of abusive language, as an example, and it is all over your posts, it's very easy for a prospective person to go and see, oh, this is his real personality, right? So this is just one of the examples, but there are several examples like this. And with now with tools like TikTok, etc., you are further exposing your personal life into the real. Now, it is your life. I or nobody else has the authority to advise you. But I just want you to be aware that if you're trying to get employment, you might like to understand that, do you want your employer to see that? And if our answer is no, I don't want him or her to see that, then either you remove it or hide it or put it under a restricted access so that only your friends can access it and not the public in domain.
Yeah.
So it's very important, because let me tell you, as an employer, almost invariably our HR is analyzing their digital and social footprint. And if you have some alarms going off, oh my God, what is this person? He has this alternate life that we did not know about. We don't want such a person in our company. So that's just a thought, food for thought.
Yeah. Thank you from the heart of our heart, for joining us today. And I also want to thank Pranam to your father also for being with us today and giving us his blessings. Must be a very proud father. So it was a great learning session we had. Now I'll ask Trisha to propose a formal vote of thanks.
Good evening to all, respected dignitaries, Honorable Speaker of the Day, Mr. Siddharth Jhunjhunwala, faculty members, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends. I am Trisha Bhattacharya of second year from Heritage Business School. I am honored to propose a vote of thanks. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Siddharth Jhunjhunwala for the lucid and enriching presentation. I'm sure it has been a good learning session for all of us. Some of the important takeaways from the session are the common goal in B2b and B2c in engagement you spoke about. You spoke that being a marketer, we have to build trust to the customers. You also talked about artificial intelligence in today's world. So thank you so much, sir, for addressing to all our queries. On behalf of Heritage Business School, I would like to thank Shri P.K. Agarwal, Chief Executive Officer, Kalyan Bharati Trust, Shri Probir Roy, Director, Kalyan Bharati Trust, for encouraging us at Heritage Business School. We are thankful to our Director, Sir, Dr. Jane Mukhopadhyay, for moderating the entire session. We are also thankful to Mr. Senior Jhunjhunwala for his valuable presence in the webinar. I would like to thank Dr. Bobby Basu for introducing us to the topic and for our support. Our heartfelt thank goes to all the faculty and staff members of Heritage Business School and also to Mrs. Shuhashini Chaudhary, Coordinator, Industrial Relations, for her support. Last but not the least, my acknowledgement goes to all the participants for making this webinar so interactive and interesting by placing valuable questions from the various parts of digital marketing and thereby making the webinar a planned success. So I wind up by saying that thanking to all the participants and the faculty member for coming to the webinar session and enriching our day. So thank you so much. Have a good day.